a lot of whining, but you got to be able to get up because things are going to happen to all of us. We all can have excuses to quit. It wasn't fair that my dad was in prison, just like most of us who grew up without our fathers in the household. But that's not an excuse. My mom was a strong woman. She was just like most of you guys, and she instilled in me things and qualities that you can overcome any situation with the right mindset. And that's how I attack life. I don't do excuses. I look at it like a game of big whiz and spades. Every time I said I don't have good cards, one of the adults would say, "You got 13 cards. Play the hand that you dealt." And that's what we're not doing today. We're listening to people make excuses for us, and the situation is what it is. They're placing us in situations where we're in the neighborhoods that our education is poor, the food is poor, but despite all of that, you can see all of these Black young men up here have made it. You guys can make it. Just stay positive and stay strong. Your upbringing, your father, none of those excuses control your destiny. You do.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. President. Anyone else like to add to those comments? Wow, Brian. What a great start. Good afternoon, everyone. My childhood, man, it's a lot of you guys, Black, specifically Black young men, we all have a similar background when it comes to struggling, when it comes to single mother households. I was one of those Black men that had to struggle all my life. I tell my players this every day. Adversity is a gift. God has put Black males specifically through adversity. If he knew it, we couldn't get through it. So I just tell you guys, man, I appreciate having that adversity and overcome. I agree with what Kwame said, man. You guys have to persevere and continue to fight. But nothing given to us. You're behind the eight ball as it gets from day one. And so you just gotta accept the challenge and move forward and know that there's light in the tunnel. You may not see it right now, but there's always light in the tunnel. Thank you, Coach. Anyone else? Any other comments on that particular question?
I'll add something to that if I can. Sure. I'm Professor Willie Diggs. My story is one of those that's probably similar to a lot of you all. My father died when I was 3 years old on what I thought was vacation. And what it caused me to do is over 30 years to not be able to appropriately use my voice. But I was raised by a very strong mother who always taught me that I was somebody. So I adopted this mantra in my life that I have an affirmation that I say to myself every day is that I am somebody. And I think that is something that what it did for me was it eliminated the excuses out of my life.
Salute to Kwame Brown.
I was able to grab onto other stronger men who were in my community. And I think one of the things that we all have to look at is though life may get
Alabama, A&M.
It determines what you do with what's
University.
to you. You can make it happen out of whatever you have. And a lot of times, I was called to look internally to make sure that I grab out the things that was inside of me. And I think you all can look at your lives yourself. You think about all the gifts and the talents that you have. And a lot of times, we don't get the full manifestation of those things because we're not in a community that requires that out of us. And my mom required that out of me. She didn't allow my excuse of not having my dad to be something that caused me to be mute or to be silent or to dumb down my excellence. So it was a thrust for me to go out and do well. So I went in charge and I wanted to do that as well.
Thank you. Anyone else before we go to the next question? Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for those comments. Very good comments, I might add. Next question. Please explain your thoughts on what it means to say Black boy magic. Black.
I'll take it. I talk about that all the time on YouTube. I was raised by older gentlemen to always respect women. And I think now they're using men and women to fight against each other, so much to the point where now mothers don't understand the importance of saying Black boy magic. I mean, here it is, two kids come from the same mother, and you'll say Black girl magic. You can walk through Target, Walmart, you can see it on billboards, but then the son comes from the same mother, and there's no Black boy magic. to me, that's crazy. That's asinine. It's like we are adopting societal norms instead of what we know to be right. And all of you young guys in here, I know how you feel about your mother. I know how you feel about your sister. So women, please don't allow the government and people to take away Black boy magic. Your sons need to be acknowledged just like your daughters.
Absolutely.
And, you can look at me, my situation, and so many other Black men. You guys have to control your destiny. You guys have to control your image, because they're not showing images of Black men in ties like I see you guys. They're showing them with guns in your waistband and talking about how many bodies you can drill and
Facts.
and who you can smoke on. And
Facts.
society is paying billions of dollars to paint this narrative and this image to have our women and to have everybody focused on this one type of Black guy and not Black boy magic. I've never shot at a Black man. I've never killed a Black man. Only thing I've ever done is help my community, buy my mother a house, and
True.
never been a burden to anybody.
It's a ploy.
To me, that's Black boy magic. Kids that do it the right way, take care of their family, take care of their mother, that's magic. We don't show that in our community. Yet it's not taking anything away from our sisters, from my aunties. I don't want to pay for the mistakes of my father and older men. Me coming up, I want to be able to see someone that looks just like me and be proud of that, which we don't see it on TV. We don't see it anywhere. So you guys have to take back your narrative, be the example. Don't allow somebody to paint you as this thug. You know who you are, and if somebody questions that, say something. So that's me.
Facts. Fight for what you stand for.
So explaining that to Jackie, my best success is understanding having a purpose. So growing up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, I grew up and I see a lot of people that didn't wear suits, that didn't have right around jobs. Those are the people I aspire to be. Those are the people that, I see in this hard and progress and change. They had things that eventually I didn't know my purpose growing up. I was stuck to a box, either play basketball or doing something in the streets. And it took me to get exposed when I made it to college to understand my purpose in life. I understand what is something that makes me great, what is something that put me from amongst me, what is something that put me, establishment where I can make myself, more than what I didn't really know what I was, what I had to be. I didn't know when I knew I wouldn't move. It took me to be exposed to see people that looked like me, that wasn't just on the streets doing everything. I told my boss, Mr. Wayne Robinson, I was at a job, I had a coworker that had a Rolex, and I had at the time a Sasquatch, it was $150, $200. But I got that from my refund check, and in my eyes, that was a Rolex. In my eyes, I had made it. And I joked with him, I said, hey, it's a nice watch, it was a Sasquatch. His response was, no, man, it's a Rolex. And from then, that kind of changed me, because I didn't know that people who wore suits and ties paid for it. I didn't know that you would be able to be in that tax bracket. It was showing me, it was motivating me, if I stay in the field, if I stay in the field to my nation, I can't hurt anything anymore. I don't like this company, and I understand my purpose. And my explanation of Black boy is understanding your purpose, understanding your calling. Sometimes it takes you to be in different rooms to see the people, because where we come from, most people come outside with just suits and ties.
Facts.
Like Mr. Kwame said a lot of times, ops and killing and drug dealing. You see it all day, you hear it all day, you consume it, but it doesn't take you, to really do much to bear up tracks. I would say understanding the purpose, understanding the gift. I would say my purpose is like just having to get together for my voice to let talk, where I can communicate, where I can articulate my purpose between both parties, to put me in room to be a lot of family.
Yes. Next question. As a Black father that is raising a young Black son, what advice would you give our students on fatherhood?
Well, the first thing I told my son was it's okay to be a man. I know that sounds simple, but right now there's an attack on manhood and masculinity. Anything you say is toxic. Anything you do that's opposite of what the mainstream narrative is. They're going to say you're toxic. So I tell them it's okay to be a man, and that means you have to stand on principles. You have to connect to the elders. You're not a man unless you go by land. Don't, he's into the shoes and video games. I had him working. He can go take his whole check and go buy V-Bucks and all this stupid stuff. And I'm just like, yo, I let him fall. But at the end of the day, your responsibility and your duty as a man takes precedent. I put him in jiu-jitsu. We keep talking about we provide and we protect, but most men now are smaller than women. And if the only way you're going to protect a woman is with a gun, then you can't protect yourself. So the first thing, like when I grew up, all of the white kids that I grew up around, they started off as
Put the
wrestling
gun
teams.
down.
So they don't just have an ideal and a concept. They actually physically go out and do it every day. So that's why I said on my YouTube, do the work. We can't talk slogans. We can't talk all this nice stuff if we're not doing the work. So every day I put one foot in front of the other and I do the work. And I try to look nothing like society. I turn my Instagram off. I'm of the world. I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world.
Well, for me, father of two young men, I got a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old, and I'm big on character, and I'm big on how you handle yourself in critical situations, not folding, not going with what the status quo is. Like I know we are here in college, I know y'all attend college, but my son want to do real estate. I understand and want to cut hair, So I want them to make their own mistakes, but I'll always be there to pick them up. But I'm big on character and how you handle yourself, and I always love your family. Because at the end of the day, y'all make y'all happy, whatever. So I'm big on character.
I would like to add as well, father of three. We're a blended family. My wife and I have been married for 20 years, been together for 23 years. One of the things that I teach my sons is it's important that when you show up in your authentic self. You don't have to be a cheap copy of a great original, and you don't have to be me. So I give them the permission to be themselves. The second thing I encourage them to do is to make sure that they learn their language and use their language appropriately when they're communicating about themselves. Don't let anyone snatch your narrative. You grab the microphone and you speak up for yourself. And the third thing, it goes back to that foundational place of making sure that you make your decisions based on your values and ethics. And if you don't have values and ethics, a man can't make appropriate decisions. So I lean in on that and I say, hey, that's how a man shows up. A man shows up in his authentic self. He uses his voice appropriately and he rules and dominates in his area of influence based on values and ethics. That's what I teach my sons.
That's good.
What advice would you give AAU students about being a better future father, husband, and man?
Come on with it, Kwame.
Well, for me, I hold a mental health Q&A on Mondays, and I have some gentlemen in there who, come from all walks of backgrounds and, cities, and, I hear, only hear, because I need to get away from, the city life that they live in or whatever. But what I try to get them to do is look in the mirror, check themselves, because you're going to make mistakes while y'all out here or whatever. But hold yourself accountable. I know I hear a lot of people, I heard I'm toxic or I do this or I do that. And that's okay to admit, but what are you doing, once you admit it? And, when you show up, are you being honest with yourself? So my advice is to, always look in the mirror, ask questions, y'all are here from, places. Use your resources, and just reach out to people who you feel like can help you along the way, and, be supportive of, these type of events as well. So.
Yeah, in regards to that question, I would just say be stubborn with your life. Be stubborn with the career choices and the decisions that you want to make. There's a lot of people who want to dive in, and then in a couple months, in a couple weeks, or less than a year, it will fall. So be stubborn with what you want to do. In my experience, that kind of set the bar. I remember starting out with people, deciding what games they want to be, what career fields they want to do. When people switching and changing, because courses are too difficult, internship, maybe this or that. Be stubborn with your career.
Welcome.
I would not enjoy playing right now. A lot of times, right now, I have goals still in my life, year goals, 3-month goals, 5-month goals. Be stubborn with your career. Be stubborn with the decisions you make. The advice I give you guys would be preparation for this opportunity. If you're prepared, opportunities present themselves. You have no doubt in be successful. Always be mindful of the decisions and choices you make. Life, everything in your life affects everyone. Whether it's yourself, whether it's your family, whether it's your friend, be mindful of the decisions you make. Don't be afraid to fail. Okay? Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to be the one to walk away from a fight. All right? But understand, if you're prepared, opportunity presents itself. You have no doubt to be successful.
Well, I didn't go to college, but I know a lot of friends who did. I understand that you have more freedom than you normally would have. So my advice would be you don't get time back. So manage your time way more appropriately. Make sure you get your schoolwork out the way first before you go to that party. Fellas, girls are going to be there as the number one thing to get distracted and end up in poverty if you start having children. So make sure you protect that. And the cliche thing, focus on your books, because everything you do now is going to shape your future. So I know a lot of us, we procrastinate, we waste time. But if you are on your square and you learn the little key things that make life easier for you, this is the time to learn it. And if you don't, it's going to make your adult life a little bit harder. So just manage your time.
I know I said initially that should I leave off the questions, but the question wasn't directed at anyone in particular, but I think this next question is pretty
Not directed at anyone in particular, but this one. All right.
What are some of the major financial mistakes you made throughout your MBA and now entrepreneurial career?
Gave my money to someone else. Never give your money to another person. Most of the wealthiest people in the world, they're in control of their own money. The biggest mistake we make is we think we're not good enough. I think Clyde's got a song say, I got 3 lawyers and they all Jew. He was running in the place. That's the mentality that we have in our community. But an old man told me a long time ago, they don't make no more land. So if you start getting land, everything on that property is money. Every tree on there is money. Every roof on there is money. The dirt is money. So I would suggest you guys start making investments in land and infrastructure, which we don't do. I have over 60 acres of land, and I'm looking to acquire 300 or 400 more because that's the gift that keeps on giving. Stock markets and all this stuff, people may not understand that as much as other people. Never want to get into things that you don't really necessarily understand, and you have to go to somebody else. But they don't make any more land, so make sure you get the land.
Right.
Next question.
Excuse me.
What advice would you give to our AA students in regards to finances? Things that upon graduation, our students are looking for.
Save your money. Don't spend it on frivolous beers.
I'll start. I think one of the first things we can do is to, when we're showing up at the university, the higher your grades are, the more scholarships. Once you're able to get scholarship, it eliminates the debt that you get from going to school. So I think a lot of times we get so pushed into just going to school that we don't know that school can actually pay you to be here. So you make sure that you are making sure that your academics is taught, and that's also for those who want to go to grad school and go on further to get other degrees, is to make sure that you do that and give come into environments like this, we have students who sit in, they'll sit in the back and they won't engage. And I'm telling you that you don't never know what's at the table. You don't know where that next scholarship is. You don't know what that next handshake will do to get you to the next level. I want to say it like this: it's not good for man to be alone. It's imperative that you have a community around you that will hold you accountable to your greatness, but also give you access to things that maybe you can't reach. Those are some things that I would encourage you to do.
That saying, it takes a community. It takes a village.
I would encourage you to start getting into the credit game right now. A lot of you guys don't understand how important credit is. If you don't have good credit, get you a secure line, a secure credit card until you can get a card that's not secured. You can start your LLC. You can do that online, and you can start doing business-to-business transactions with Granger and Uline. Go to uline.com. Go to Granger. Start doing business-to-business transaction with your LLCs, like buying your soaps, household items, and things that you would buy anyway. Make it come out business to business, so that way when you graduate, you guys already have business credit and you can have some personal credit, because credit is the number one thing that we're lacking. That's why so many rappers encourage you guys to buy cars with all cash, because their credit is no good.
Instead of saying fix your credit.
Get those same cars and put no money down and just walk on the lot and they get it through their foundation, but they get it because their credit score is 850. So the way that they're teaching us how to do it,
it's
the way
backwards.
they use the celebrities to show us, it's all to hurt you. Your credit is
keep you down.
Thing, and you can do it now with the little
Poverty
tricks and little
stricken.
tricks that they don't teach you in school.
Next question. Please explain to our students the importance of giving back to the community that you come from and currently.
To me, it's the most important thing. And my grandfather used to argue all the time, and no offense, he said, "Them educated folks get the education and leave and never come back." I would encourage all you guys, just because you get an education don't mean a small thing can help. Go donate to your recreation department. Where I'm from now, I argue with them all the time, from my hometown, because our parks in our county looks nothing like the parks from the better school districts and the higher income districts. So I have to personally come out of pocket, and a lot of other guys do as well. I do it with no problem, but it's up to us to change our neighborhoods. If we have a system that's in place that gives us a different cut of meat, if you will, then it's up to us to pull together, and we have the resources to do it. So we definitely have to give back and be connected to our communities. Right now, we don't have neighborhoods anymore. We have hoods. The worst thing that I would get going out of the house was a fist fight with somebody, but I always made it home. What's going on now is a lot different. So we have to look in the mirror in that aspect and get back to loving each other.
Use for motivational purposes only. They are the ones we're trying to inspire. They're the ones that don't get the opportunity. Every homecoming, I got 5 to 20 young friends. They're not going to college. All stable. They enjoy college, but I wanted them to see what it looked like. I wanted them to see not just the parties and fun. I wanted them to see me in the suits. I wanted them to see me working. I wanted them to see me going to the library.
Shirley Hayes said, "Tell me, I know you watching."
They don't have this level of structure that they have at the university. They don't have the cafeteria, they don't have one structure with the library, they don't have streets, corner store, it's X, Y, and Z. So for me, those are the ones I was really trying to inspire, those are the ones I was trying to build up. different titles and forget the struggle or the cities and background you came from. You never know who you can touch in those smaller communities. I just going back and showing your face. You don't have to give financially, but you give your time. They go a long ways. On the financial side of things, and being a historical black college and graduate, that's one of the vital key points. And being a key point is why the BWIs are in a different financial state than we are. We don't give back. We graduate, give back. No matter how mad a professor they make you or how mad, how long financial airline was, give back. You chose to come to this university. You chose to be in this community. So give back, all right? Like I said, every dollar you can always count. But back, when you go back home, though, it's more about your time than the financial piece.
Yeah, just to piggyback on the time, I just feel like, this type of work that we do is giving back, but also when you do go back, I don't know people use the word help, you know what I mean? But for me, it's about the impact. Can you 5 or 6 years from now, you help somebody or you look out for them or whatever you may do for them, that they see you out and be like, hey, I got this job now, I'm married, I'm successful, you know what I mean? But you just never know the type of impact you can have by conversation, pulling somebody to the side, or getting them their first job, or encouraging them. So for me, it's about impact and always giving back. You just never know. And plus, people have paved the way for us to be here, so we have to give back. It's our job to give back.
I'll add, to that thought is that, just remember that you don't have to wait till you get your degree to start giving back to your community. One of the things that I was taught earlier in undergrad, I was a part of a fraternity. I'm a Sigma. Our, mantra, our motto is cultural service for humanity. It's kind of like what we do. So one of our first assignments was making sure that we stayed in the community. So even 20 plus years later, we're still active in the community. But the goal is to make sure that you use your influence now. If you see that there's a community that's struggling, the only thing you got to do is show up and be the answer. And a lot of times, I don't think we really look at ourselves to know that we got gifts and talents that are really some of the answer to the earth's problems. And what we have to do, if you know that there's a middle school that struggles in reading, and then you're an individual who loves to read, then that's your space of genius. You go in there and you support that. You see a neighborhood and you see that it's desolate and it needs to be paper picked up, then you got 2 hands. You can literally go and organize to get the community cleaned up. And I think one of the things that happens with us is we think that we have to get the degree or we have to wait till we get, successful to start giving back to our community. And
No, giving back can be free.
Who are under the age of 18 who now have over 1,000 hours of volunteer time in their community because when a kid serves in their own community, they won't ruin it. And I want to encourage you all that don't wait till you get a degree. They already look at you as successful because you got gifts and talents. Go out there and be the answer.
Very good. Thank you. Next question. What advice would you give to our AAMU students in regards to not using violence to resolve conflict with others?
I don't know if y'all want me to answer. I think violence should be the last resort, but I think they have conditioned us to think that we get to a certain age and that violence is no longer an option because we're older and we're wiser and we're smart. But that contradicts my role as a man because if I'm a husband, if I'm a father, then my role as a man never turns off. And so I stay break and sweat ready. And that's not to be violent towards anyone. That's to just own my space. I am not Terry Crews. I'm not any man that's going to let you push past my behavior, certain behaviors. So to me, I'm not encouraging anybody violence. I'm not an advocate of violence. I'm saying that should be your last resort. But as a man, you should own the space that you.
Yeah, I would say do not crash out. I was saying that a lot of my older guys would say, do not crash out, do not let nobody trick you out of the position. I tell myself that every day, even in the real field, I would not let nobody trick me out of my position and send me back. You didn't work too hard. You didn't work too hard. You not A, not crash out, and B, not let you trick me out of my position. Because you think, somebody you could be working with or could be doing something may not be in a position, not to let you at, not to let you have you crash out or, because I think the people are moving. So when it's purpose behind how you move, nobody's going to trick you out of my position.
I just think you work in one situation, to where you don't know how the other person will retaliate. You don't know what will happen to the person from whatever type of situation happens. And, of course, we all speak on time. You can't get time back, so you don't know what could happen. So my advice is to, always think before you react. And, go through the steps of processing. Is it worth whatever, the outcome may be? So that's my advice for it.
I think in knowing your boundaries.
Everybody had great advice.
Know what environments you can manage. And if you set those boundaries in place, if you see those boundaries are being close, you can either remove yourself out of those situations, or you have a plan that you're able to balance yourself out. But I think that it's imperative that we have boundaries in knowing those spaces. If you know you're high tempered and you see the environments get high tempered, then don't go set up a tent in those spaces. Know how to exit out of those. I happen to be a person who can be high tempered. So once you know that, you know certain environments. I know me.
His check moving kind of slow. He used to be jumping, y'all.
The person is probably going to exit first, so that I don't go over it. And I think that's just something that we all have to. You got to know you. I'm gonna say that one more time for the people in the back. You got to know yourself. You have to know yourself. You know yourself. You got to know when you have had more than you can take, and know how to safely get out of the situation. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage you to make sure you study it.
Okay. Next question: How should one avoid conflict with others?
He just answered that question perfectly already. I think I was answering. Yeah.
How should one avoid conflict with others?
Well, you just gotta be, I can go back to what I said earlier. Know when to have to fight a fight. Know what's a good fight. And what I mean is not having to fight for the main things like you guys think I'm talking about more so. Knowing what way. You guys see trouble, you get trouble. I tell you all the time, I tell you all the time. That's why I got those 2 years and 2 eyes. So these people listen before we open our mouth. And so if we conflict with those senses, it's a place where we make a decision, or we have a choice. Because like I said, everything in life is don't go with your last name or the person you are as a man or a lady in general. Because you may sacrifice your parents and families that they sacrifice to put you in these situations to be successful. People. So just be mindful of the decisions you make before you make. Don't be afraid to walk away. Right. You won't be needless for a man or needless for a woman when you walk away. So just be mindful of the decisions you make. Stand on it. Don't doubt it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I would add, just to make sure that when you know yourself, don't forget to check your mental health as well. And I think that's a conversation that we don't talk a lot about. You have to know your headspace and know when you need to go get some assistance. I think it's time out for us as men trying to do life by ourselves. And you got to know when you need help. You got to know when it's over your capacity. When you're over your limit, you need to know where to identify some safe places. And I will tell you all, and that's why knowing your community is so important. You have to know where the rooms are. You got to know where they are on campus so that you can get what you need. Because there's some friends that I have that I can't go sit down with them and tell them they're in conflict because I know how they're wrong, right? So you want to make sure that you know your safe places and know when things are. And checking that mental health spot. Know where you are. If you know that there's some things going on that you need some help, fellas, go get it.
Speak up.
Next question. Interesting. At least, what went through your mind when you received hundreds of thousands of followers and names on social media and YouTube channel?
For me? Oh, nothing. I don't get impressed by stuff like that. I barely even know how to work Instagram. So, I always looked at it. I looked at Instagram as something that used to, just get people in trouble. Every time I got on Instagram, somebody was threatening to pull up on somebody else. So I didn't lend my ear to that. So
Right.
once I got all those followers, I was trying to figure out how can I come to that space. Like they're trying to get me to go to Clubhouse. I'm like, nah. Every time I turn on that app, there's somebody about to pull up on somebody else too. So once I was able to figure out how to turn it into a positive situation, once I figured out how to not just get on there to argue with somebody and turn it into something positive, then I got on it. But don't get your life wrapped around the likes, and because they don't really know you. So a like doesn't put money in your pocket. I know a lot of people that's doing so much stuff for attention. There's guys that's throwing rocks at the penitentiary, throwing right over the gate, don't know that they're next going to prison because they're trying to show out for Instagram. There's females that are showing way too much on Instagram for that attention.
That's true, King Kush.
And this all of it is the wrong attention. So if I were you guys, I would focus on something a little more positive than that.
Right.
As we talk about that, social media is not accuracy.
I think, when you look at the digital space, I consider myself to be the soul in the light. So if it's a dark space, I feel like the soul and light need to be there. And, making sure that you manage your influence is something that's going to be so key. So I would encourage everybody to really know yourself, but there's some spaces, and I think Clubhouse needs this crowd. I run a club on Clubhouse called Conversations. It's one of the fastest programs on Clubhouse. We run about 100 members a week, but we have impactful conversations just like this. And I think it's imperative that those who can add value in the digital space, that we get as many people that can add value to that space. So I'm hoping that you really think that. Please come on.
Yeah. Once I figure out how to turn it into something positive, I'll do it.
Oh, I got you. Because I think the digital space is where the future is. The future is voice activated. And if you're going to be in the digital space, using your voice is going to be key. And I think a lot of times we're out of the picture phase of life where you can show a picture and not have a character behind it. People are now wanting to hear the voice behind what they're seeing. And I think when we show up in our authentic selves and we show up using our voice, then that opens up also another level of income. I just believe that the digital space can be monetized. And I think you can monetize everything.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, we got your last question. I hope each of you will have some words toward this last question. And the question is, what advice would you give about the pros and cons of dating?
Is there a doctor in the house? I'll get my out the way. I'm not coming to you guys as no type of expert. All I can say to you is good luck. Some things are going to happen that's out of your control, but men, do it as men. No means no. If she don't want to date you, the best thing to do is walk away and let her find a way. If it's meant to be, it'll come back. But right now, you guys are in a very peculiar space right now with all the stuff that's going on. So if I was you guys, I'd be very, very careful. There's no right way to answer this question. So I'll leave it to the people that are way more smarter than me.
And you said it, I just feel like y'all shouldn't even be trying to date right now.
Right.
And I honestly feel like it should be education. It should be, trying to build your name and who you're trying to become. Because relationships does cause, distraction in college. like he spoke on it in terms of having kids at an early age. I mean, now you're behind the eight ball. Now you're working instead of probably focusing on school. So the pros, I don't know if there's any pros right now because I think you should just really be. I think this is the one time you should be selfish. You know what I mean, with your life. You know what I mean, because you can't get this back. Have fun. You know, enjoy it, but you know what I mean. Be mindful of what's going on. I mean, like you said, no means no. A lot of this domestic violence stuff is going on. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. You know what I mean, from a lot of like you said, from checking your mental health. I mean, a lot of issues that's not being addressed, and if you take that, you inflict that on somebody else. So now they have some issues stemming from yours. So my advice would just be to be selfish right now. Focus on yourself and find ways to better yourself. So when you get out here, you're prepared to that financially and mentally as well.
Right. That's some good advice.
I think it's difficult to date when you're not clear of who you are. And if you've done the internal work and know who you are, being connected to someone, I think it's not based on an age, it's based on your maturity when you're ready. I'm an individual who got married, so I have a different perspective. But one of the things that I did a lot of internal work first, I was the second thing that you have to do is once you know what you carry, you can't put what you carry with everything, because everything can't manage what you carry. And you got to make sure that you know that. And once you identify those two things, I think you can go forward. I do not recommend getting married while you're in undergrad. Just listen,
Right.
And I think we survived it. But I just want to encourage you to make sure that you do that internal work so that you don't create something that you're going to struggle with before you. There's so many other things you can focus on right now, but knowing yourself is one of those things, and knowing what you carry is the next. And I yield right there.
Yeah, I would say one, I would say your word is bond. So when you're dealing with somebody, no matter what it is, your word is bond. Make sure that you can stand to and own it, because it's going to represent who you are as a person. It's going to represent your character. So even if you promise to say something, make sure you're able to own it up. And two, I love the responses from my colleagues. I'm very will disagree with that. I think you can't stop listening, you can't stop faith, you can't stop if you meet somebody. I just think, like I did before you left me for the children, right, who's capacity to be ready for that. Love is a beautiful thing. So I think if that comes, then you should embrace it. You shouldn't. There's no time that you can be ready in life for something. You can't say you graduate, you be ready, you still not ready. You can be 50 years old and still not ready. So I think it's just, every person has an individual, line that they should walk on that, but, just, if you want to say it, stand by it, own it. I think that's a big key. That's a character thing. Just try to just come ready when you are, and you should try to, if you feel like you're not in the right mental capacity, then you should be involved in anything. But, I do think if love comes across your way, it's true.
I really want to give advice on this. But what I can say is that what I tell my players is you don't have the time right now to be in that so-called dating or relationship, because I believe that speaking on marriage, that's the biggest downfall, and specifically after marriage, divorce rate, is because you don't get along. And when you have other responsibilities and needs for marriage, look, it's 100 and 100. You don't get to give that person 100% of the time and attention to your family. You say you don't see the same. Where's the other percentage? So just be mindful and the time and the place that you have a long life to live. Don't make the rest of the things. Have players go, I'm grown. You're not grown. You don't have a grown responsibility for them. So just be mindful and understand that, hey, you're still 22 years old. So mom and dad and the family's still around. So if you're not really making take that step forward and give 100% in someone, lady or male, don't take that step.
Well, gentlemen, that concludes our questions. Thank you for your comments. To support this program at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Kim.
Good, round of applause for our panel. Thank you all for taking the time in your days to come and be with us on this panel. One thing I need everybody there are opportunities to say something. So if you all on the count of three can say something with it. You ready? 1, 2, 3, say something. Something. Okay, everybody's on the program. So anybody got to do anything else? So we're going to take three questions from the audience. Three questions because we don't want to be long. We just want to give everybody an opportunity to say something. I'll take this question here.
Kwame needs some honey.
Yeah, I was listening to Kwame and also you can take your part to speak on the social is it hard to speak out as a professional athlete?
Yeah, that's like captivating, and then you got like LeBron James, so like like he doesn't necessarily speak. He like come captivate the vote. Losing jobs, so you think other athletes might be scared of it.
You're 100% right. It's almost impossible to speak out while you still have a job in that position. Unfortunately, I think they're using our black celebrities with that like button. Most of us, they say we're not a monolith or whatever, but I think it's all about who we like. The Beehive, Beyonce can get everybody in the Beehive to do whatever she wants. If she wears a certain type of dress, all the ladies want to go wear that same dress.
Not me.
Jay-Z, NBA Youngboy, they have the minds of the youth. And so, unfortunately, I think it's some very powerful people that understand how to monetize that. And so they give them a lot of money to get you guys to follow what they're doing.
True facts.
My question I really have is for anybody on the panel. Being a black man, do you feel that the stigma that they keep
Go along, get along game is real. Real as fuck, I heard.
You said the question again, so I was calling.
I was saying, do you feel that interest that they see us as to it? Or do you feel like we bring amongst ourselves?
I definitely think it's a generational curse. I feel like we had still been since slavery. That's honestly, what I feel. I feel like, us being in positions to be leaders and change the world is how we can change and bring it back to us. It's kind of go back to the question of, effectively, I don't expect effectively to change, but we have to do the best thing that we can to help provide for our people and show that it's not like.
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think our main issue is our culture. Anytime you can say on an open mic, kill an N-word, and it's not censored, that's our culture. We're proud to most of the guys that we look up to, and I look up to growing up, they were street guys. And our culture, and like I said, a lot of the powers that we are paying for that image. So it has to start being a bad thing to say you're smoking on another black person. It has to be a bad thing for us to push out so much N-words and cursing. That's why I curse on my YouTube. People can see the wrong in it when they see a different, they can see the bad behavior in it when they see a different person doing it. But for some reason, a rapper is black, but because he's a rapper, he can brag and rap about killing folks and have white kids and white kids rapping along to it. And we all know the devil uses music. So if we're going to change something, we got to change that music in our culture that it glorifies going to prison and young black boys being a man through prison. And that to me is our biggest problem, the way we look at each other. Most of us, when we greet each other out of this room that's black, we looking at each other up and down, like, what's going on? We ain't looking at each other like that's my brother. So we have to change that.
My question is for Mr. Brown. I want to know how did your mom feel when you heard about the house?
She fell down to her knees. It was her dream home. She saw it. It was on the golf course. I had to have it, and that was my driving force. That's why I think it's disrespectful not to have Black Boy Magic, because us Black boys, we try to fill in that void of Daddy not being there. So we sometimes grow up a little too early. We're the ones that's filling up these prisons. Some guys making wrong decisions, helping mama. And so I think it's imperative that we start acknowledging that Black son that would do anything for his mother and his sisters. I was the one who got called, and my brothers was the one who got called because Daddy wasn't there when somebody disrespected mama. So it has to be a level of respect for both parties if we want to get this thing a little more balanced.
Thank you all. Thank you all once again. Before we leave this place, I wanted to make sure all of you know that you do not get to be average. If you don't take nothing else out of it today, understand that now that you understand what they've told you, you heard something here today, when you walk out this door, you no longer get to be the average person. You have to be Black Boy Magic, Black Girl Magic. You have to be better than you were when you leave here today. Because it's not about what I see you do, it's not about what they see you do, it's about what you do in private when nobody's looking. It's about what you do when nobody's looking. It's going to be that as a contributor to your next step in life. So understand that average is over. Average was good enough to get you in the room. Now that you're in the room, now you got the petition to fight for it. Now we're going to have our reflection and remark from Mr. Harris. Mr. Harris will have a prayer. I know it's a formal program, but it's supposed to be a prayer by the Associate Pastor of Open House Restoration Church Leaders.
All right, good afternoon, gentlemen. Yes, my name is Brandon Harris. I have the pleasure of serving the Black Men Initiative Committee for this year. One thing I want to do is for the players there running my program, Pathways to Success. Please make sure that you read everything that was discussed today. One of the hosted things that I noticed is that the gentlemen on this panel, none of them have the same answer, and they have no problem to disagree. That was why the panel displayed the way it was, because when it comes to being successful, it is not one way to be successful.
That is so true.
Success is defined by how you define success. Okay. So what mine works for Mr. Brown may not work for Dennis, and that's okay. And then the Black Boy Brown, run Black Boy Brown, that was different too, because we're not all going to finish at the same time. But the point is that we finish. We want to make sure that we are finishing the race that we're trying to do with what we're trying to achieve. And so for the rest of this week, gentlemen, I am inspired by the numbers we have here now. The last time we were able to do the Black Nation was pre-COVID. And our numbers are large and limitless then. But for the other programs to come out, please bring at least one person with you. Okay, when the ladies have one women speaking, nothing against the ladies, they pack out the room. But these are the things that are being made for you to help inspire and strengthen us. And as we know throughout our community, we Black men are struggling. But that's because we'll take care of ourselves and we do not have a brother with us. So once again, for the rest of me, please, if you bring one like that, please do so. And I am just thankful and appreciative that you took out the time to the panel. Thank you for taking your time to share your wisdom with us. So once again, thank you for your time.
That's great. You know, so you just thank you. We thank you for your this Lord, against the evil only, may your light surround them, may your love enfold them, may your power protect them, and Lord, may your presence always encourage them in everything they do. As all these things in Jesus' name, amen.
So we're gonna go ahead and end our live, or we'll be coming right back. Game.